For our next guest, if you'd like to put your hands together for Philippa McLean from Imerys. So welcome. Please have a chair. Welcome as well. Good to have you. Right, I'm going to bequeath to you the clicker.
Thank you.
As your presentation, but let's start off with tell us all about Imerys.
Yes, so Imerys, we're not well known, but we're actually the mineral leader of industrial-based solutions. So we're a mining company, basically. That's, the fancy way of describing mining. We're based in Paris, so just like Amundi, we're a French-based company, but we have activities all around the world, over 50 countries, 230 industrial sites, quarries, mines, and a lot, obviously, of non-connected employees. We have over 18,000 employees, 10,000 of which are connected, and I'll come back to that in a minute. In terms of the markets that we serve, so minerals, they're in your daily life. You probably don't realize it. In your mobile phones, via lithium-ion batteries, in your cosmetics with talc, in your car with plastics and paints and coatings. So we really serve a wide range of industries, and just like Amundi, we've grown through a lot of acquisitions. So we were a very, very siloed company. So how it all began.
Yeah, how did it all start, your digital transformation?
So we were, as I said, really a siloed company. And in 2017, we embarked on a massive digital transformation, really because, just like British Airways this morning, they were saying we had, I think, 250 odd systems. We had 30 different intranets, very siloed. So the objective of the digital transformation program was really to build a single portal and really have common tools across the group for all our employees. So it was an internal program with solutions for our employees. So we switched from Lotus Notes to Google, which was a revolution.
We don't hear about Lotus Notes much these days.
I know. I hadn't before either. So we switched to Google and all the integrated tools basically with Google. So that was an internal program with all the internal tools, but also an external program for all of the customer-facing tools. And with that, as a comms team, we thought, wow, this is a great opportunity for us to switch from a Lotus-based intranet, which was basically a depository of information.
Yep. And not a very good-looking one either.
And a horrible one. I haven't put a screenshot in there. To a digital workplace, basically. And we had this ambition of building a go-to place for all of Imerys employees. And obviously we wanted the personalized experience with all these people in all the different countries. We wanted the collaboration piece of it. So, everything that everyone has been talking about this morning.
So you looked around in the market?
So we looked around the market, and our main objective really was to have a tool that was completely synced with Google. Because there was already such a massive change for our employees to switch to Google and have all this collaboration. We thought, okay, we don't want to add yet another tool that they'll struggle with. So we looked around and found the provider that was really fully integrated with G Suite.
Well, he's got the T-shirt.
Indeed.
Laurent Bonnet. Well, hello, Laurent. Welcome.
Thank
Glad to have you here from
I think we're
Lumaps.
known for that these days, big yellow T-shirts. Lumaps, just like Imerys, is a French company, founded in 2014, I think. About 8 offices worldwide, some example customers on the screen right now, plus obviously Imerys, where this presentation is all about. So we have about 4 million connected employees using Lumaps on a daily basis, and we really are the employee communication platform, so built for internal comms manager. So we started really approaching it from understanding that there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of silos, not just in terms of teams, but in terms of business applications that people use. And our vision is really to bring and unify everything into one so that people can actually get a lot of benefit out of their intranet, whether it's using it for news or using it for quick access to applications or even to collaborate between each other. So we support both Microsoft and Google. We come from the Microsoft world. Some of the customers that I've shown are Google customers, but we also support Microsoft in many different.
So this is quite a big thing. I mean, I should interject here because we introduced you into DCMS because they were Google-based and so on. And we always saw Lumaps as being, if you're on Google, go to Lumaps. But actually now, equally based on O365.
Equally based on Office 365. If anything, Microsoft is probably a better partner to work with in terms of integrations.
Yes.
If I'm being honest. But I'm a Microsoft fanboy and I actually love SharePoint, so don't necessarily listen to everything I say.
It's
So yeah, there's lots of different use cases that Microsoft offers. Teams is something, Yammer is another. There's a lot of things that you can do with SharePoint as well. And so it's natural for us to have, built a customer base with Google, but it makes sense to, start expanding our reach and the offering and integration and the use cases that we have for people that use Microsoft.
Great.
Okay. There's animations, I didn't know about that. So the internet platform or the communication platform is completely customizable. So whether you have your own branding online, you can really make it look like your own website, something that's completely personal, which Imerys is going to show you later on how they made it look like themselves. Here on the screen we have the example of John Lewis, how they made it look like.
Yeah. That's a recent one, isn't it?
That's a very recent one, I think June or something.
Yeah.
It was actually a very quick project as well. I think it took them 4 months from signature to launch. And there's some interesting use cases that they've done as well, which is completely different from the usual intranet.
We're going to have them come in May to talk about that.
Yeah. So the CMS itself is very simple to use, and it's, again, made for you to actually get your work done rather than having to spend time speaking with IT to get any changes done, which is, I'm sure is what everyone wants from their own intranet. And it also allows you to profile content based on location, based on people, or even multilingual, so that if someone has set their own language to English or French or Spanish, then they'll get the content based on their language of choice. Of course, we have a native mobile app. We're responsive. We have the web version like everything else, so you don't have to worry about that one. And it really has a lot of things built in to allow you to really manage and pilot your own communication program internally.
How quickly could you, from signing the ink on a contract, how quickly could you get a working intranet, personalized intranet up and running?
I get that question a lot.
That's why I'm asking it.
I think there's two answers to that one. You can get, just like every other platform, I'd say, you can probably get things done in 2 days, just because it depends on the complexity of your project. My second answer to that would be, and I think it's more for you guys, but an intranet or digital workplace or digital transformation is not something that you do just once. It's like a rolling, ongoing thing. So I would say that you should be focusing on developing and building the engagement and the adoption throughout the years, rather than just doing, hey, we're going to do this massive project for a year. It's going to cost a fortune, and then we'll be happy and done. That never happens. So I guess if anyone tells you that you need 6 years to do your intranet, don't listen to them. So I guess, yes, you can spend a week, you can spend 6 months.
But it's all about the
I would say spend first a week, make sure that people start using it rather than coming up with all these massive projects. And I think that's also something that Philippa is going to talk about as well.
Yeah. So Philippa, where are you at?
So where are we at? So we launched it in 6 months so it took us a bit of time, but the objective was really to get an MVP out there as soon as we could, to really be in the midst of this digital transformation and provide this tool at the same time as all the others. So an MVP in June last year, 2018, and we started onboarding our functions, our 10 divisions, etc. And then new CEO comes in and launches a global transformation. Not just a digital one, a complete restructuring of the company. So removing all those silos, removing loads of layers of management. So really a massive, massive project. And I'll come back to that in a minute, because obviously Lumaps has been great at adapting itself and was great for us.
It's often an opportunity, isn't it, for adoption as well. When you get that kind of change, that's the thing that can make all the difference.
And you can see that's when your tool is effective, if you can communicate effectively on your transformation.
It is, yes. A baptism of fire.
So just to show you what the intranet actually looks like.
Introducing one new place for everything. One Imerys is our smart, social, mobile intranet that holds business information and applications, social workspaces, and G Suite, all in one place. A place where you can connect anywhere, on any device. You'll stay informed with news that's relevant to you. And the more you like and comment, the more relevant the articles. You'll find what you need fast. Whether you're looking for information or people, it's as easy as searching in Google. And make sure your profile is complete so you can be found. We can all work better together now. Collaborate on projects and share well-organised information. Set up or join a community and get started. This is just the beginning. The more you use one Imerys, the more it'll evolve, based on your history. So go and explore. Like, comment, feedback, share, connect. Make it yours. One Imerys, infinite possibilities.
There you go. So you basically have seen all of the features
Yep.
that Laurent was talking to you about, but for us, so really customised to us. So it really became this go-to place that we really wanted to launch. So obviously a combination of personalised news, group news,
Yep.
language, because we have a big issue around language. You know, French people don't like English, needs to be in French.
No, I do too.
So we really had a big focus on that, on really enabling local content. And it's become the main tool for our internal comms. So before I joined, I think we had about 50 internal newsletters, you know, going with the 30 intranets.
Yep.
Now we have one global newsletter. We have all of the
What
news.
do you call it? What's it called?
Headlines.
Headlines.
And so we have one internal newsletter on a monthly basis, which is basically a digest of all the news that we post on the intranet on a daily basis. And it's news from us, essentially. It's also news from our business areas, from our functions. So it's really become that go-to place for news. It's fully integrated with the tool that we use for newsletters. And I mentioned the transformation, and when this transformation was launched, we created in, I think, a few hours, a space dedicated to all of our transformation news. We could integrate the latest Q&As. We didn't have to re-update all those links. You know, it was just easy and practical for us as a comms team, because we've got a lean team as well, to really get all this information quickly out there to all of our employees, which was a key objective for us, obviously. And CEO communication. So I've been with Imerys for 3 years. I've had 3 CEOs, and we're about to announce the 4th one. So a lot, obviously, to do from an internal comms perspective, but we've used the platform a lot for our CEOs to really get out there, integrate, you know, live stream webinars, have some videos, have some messages from them. And we were discussing with my neighbour at the table leadership communications and how, you know, it can be tricky to get your top leaders to engage. And you see them more active on LinkedIn than you see them on the intranet. How strange. So we've launched this top leadership community now that it's set and it's in place now with the new organisation. So hopefully we'll get them to really engage and share some great content on the platform. One of the things that really attracted us to Loomaps is also the community features. So it was really interesting this morning listening to Yammer, because most of the stuff that they were showing, you know, Loomaps is providing, and we've started to apply. And these communities, they just grow organically. We don't really push them. We do have strict governance so that you don't have too many, or you don't have dormant communities. But they're really a feature that work really, really well. And
they're sort of engine room, aren't they? But yeah, they don't happen naturally. I mean, it does require a certain amount. You talk about governance, but also, what did you do to prime the pump to get these communities working? Do you have community managers?
We do. So we have a network of community managers, and we identified when we launched the MVP the key topics or the key locations where we knew we'd get traction. Right. So, for example, you know, being a mining company, health and safety is a massive topic. So health and safety, we went to the team and said, okay, what can we do to support you? And they've launched a community, and it's one of the most active ones. Similarly, Brazil, we have a massive presence in Brazil, and they're quite social media savvy.
Things always go well in Brazil.
I know, it's
great. To any global client, if you want to launch anywhere, launch in Brazil.
And it works.
It always works.
It's true.
Yes.
And one of the great things, obviously, is that they could post their content in their local language. You know, we didn't have to interfere with it, because why would we anyways? Right. So again, they've really used this as their main comms tools, and they got rid of all their newsletters, so which was, you know, delightful.
Can I just ask, what do you use for newsletters?
We use Popular.
You use Popular. So Popular, you've got integrations going.
Fully
I think a lot of people in the room are probably using Popular, I guess.
Fully integrated. Basically, we just use Popular as a sort of a summary page, and everything links back to the intranet. Great. And it's easy. And we've rolled that out as well to everyone across the group, so we can measure. Because obviously when you send PDFs, you can't really measure the performance. Right. So where we are in terms of performance, so we launched in June 2018. So I mentioned in my intro, we have about 10,000 connected users. Of these 10,000, 8,000 are active users, so quite pleased. A lot of news articles, 108 communities today, so it really grew organically, but obviously there's still work that needs to be done.
Yeah, so what's next?
What's next? Well, quite a lot. Well, a new CEO in a couple of weeks, so that will keep us busy. But really connecting all our employees. You know, we still have 8,000 employees who are not connected to One Imerys, and we want to reach them. So we were discussing with Lumaps, really rolling out the mobile app and getting those people there. Pushing more content through this app, more personalised content to drive these people to go there. And obviously the main objective is adoption. So we're hosting, I think it's table 15, we're hosting a discussion, and I'd really love to hear from all of you and your best practices on how you've managed to really drive a successful adoption program so that we can get, you know, not 8,000, but more and more employees on a daily basis.
And of course, that's the thing they look to internal comms for. You know, quite often, you know, the platform is IT's responsibility, but to make it a success is yours.
So, well, we really had the ownership. We worked with IT as part of the
digital program. You were involved right at the beginning.
Yes. And they really gave us the ownership. And working with Lumaps.
Were you running the project team? Was IT running the project team?
I was part of the project team, but someone else was running it.
Okay.
I was a contributor back then. But it was interesting because IT really said, you know, this is the platform. And one of the positives of Lumaps is that we could work with them directly.
Yeah.
We didn't really need anyone from IT, and any changes we want to make, we can just make ourselves.
That's a huge benefit, isn't it? In the old days, you used to wait for that SharePoint person. You know, you're criteria number 36 on their list, and you just wanted to post the CEO thing. But now, of course, it's in the cloud.
And imagine on Lotus Notes how bad it was. So it's been a massive change.
Indeed. Okay. So how do you cope? You've had 3 CEO changes. You've got another one coming down. They do vary, don't they? You do have those that have done it before in other companies and absolutely get it, and those that have no idea what you're talking about. How do you manage to bring a CEO up to speed and to get them active, do you think?
Depends on their style. The latest one we had, thankfully, is gone now. He didn't enjoy...
So it's only being streamed to the world.
That's fine. He's gone. No, but the thing is, he wasn't keen on he wasn't keen on communication. So apart from doing the odd town hall, which he really enjoyed, that was basically it. So he was very much in control of all the messaging for the transformation. And we actually found that we had a bit of freedom on One Imerys on the intranet, that we could post maybe more than what he would say in a sort of, formal message. So again, the tools that we have at our disposal really helped us drive it. The one that we have now, which is an interim, because he's also the chairman of the board, he's very much into live streaming. I want to post as much, I want to be visible. I want to talk to the people. So again, well, great, we have the tools for that. We'll just adapt our tools to your style or provide you those. So I'm glad we did the digital transformation before we did the global one.
Before I throw it open to the audience and to the questions that we have, what about feedback? In terms of getting, particularly during periods of change, transformation and so on, how much did you use the platform to hear what people were thinking, good or bad? About
well, previous CEO didn't really want to hear about feedback, so that was a bit of an issue, but we do have feedback forms on there that we can use. We did launch some conversations on communities to try and get some feedback, and now with the new team in place, they're really keen to push that even further. So the tool can do it. It's more a matter of how we want to position it as a culture trait, I guess.
Yeah, fascinating. Great. Lovely. Well, let's go to some questions. Have we got some questions coming up from Rob Briggs? How did you get all the different newsletter owners to come together on one platform?
Yeah, that was
question,
interesting. Bob. Yeah. Well, when we showed them that they could post their news, in a timely manner with a nice format with different templates that they could use on the intranet and reach their employees, that was the first good argument that we presented. And then saying, well, and by the way, we have this newsletter tool on which you can also measure and have great analytics on opening rates, click rates, etc. But that completely syncs with the intranet. You don't need to create your content in 2 locations. That also helped. But yeah, when I joined, we did our first employee survey, and they all said, oh, we want more communication. And then when we dig a bit deeper, and they said, well, yeah, but we already have all these newsletters. So I was like, well, so you have the content, but you don't really know where it is. Yeah. So all of this kind of brought it together. Interesting question from Kate here. Can contributors self-publish, or does it all filter through the comms? Are you the bottleneck? Or? So no, so we have all the different sections for the functions, for the business areas, they have someone in charge. So we are only responsible for the overall platform, for all the group content, but then functions and business areas really do their own, so we're not a bottleneck, which is great. But we do have governance in place, though, style guidelines, you know, tone of voice. In India, they're really keen to communicate, and they use a different vocabulary, maybe, to ours, which is fine, because for their local content, then it makes a lot of sense. But then if we want to then push it up to the group, we might adapt it a little bit to make it a bit more corporate. But they're very much on,
and you can be
autonomous.
flexible as well. So, like, Lumaps in itself allows you to be completely governing in one area where you want to have everything go through the comms team, and then you'll have another area where it's a lot more, you know, free, and people can actually interact themselves, not without having to actually learn how do I actually use this thing, because it's we have simplified ways for people who do want to engage themselves, and then if something needs to be managed, then you have the flexibility of doing your own governance rather than.
So personalization, in terms of Lumaps, where are you going with personalization? We hear a lot about hyper-personalization. Do you think that's the future?
In many ways, yes. It's interesting because the more you speak to people, the more you hear that they want their internet to look like this. And I was speaking to someone whose name shall be nameless, who said that her internet homepage should be basically a newsfeed of BBC News. Okay, but that's something that I think every platform will be leaning towards, where one person will want to have their own internet homepage be something, and then someone else will want to have something completely different, where I just want my apps, or some people will want to have that personal content. And I guess that's the whole point of your internet, your digital workplace, or your employee communication platform, whatever you want to call it, to allow that kind of personalization, both for the comms team as well as the individual.
Okay, we seem to have got the right partnership here. Thank you very much for coming along. Thank you, Philippe, Laurent. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Thank you for sharing your story. That was great.
Thank you.
Great.